Hello everyone, welcome back to Classic Automotive Services. This week, got a small update on the Dolomite and the TR7. We'll talk a bit about that in a minute. I'd like to say one thing: if you're expecting a lot of progress on these cars quite quickly, then at the moment that's not going to happen, as we are only doing this on weekends. As I have a full-time job, this is business I'm trying to get up and running and eventually do it full time. At the moment, we're doing it purely weekends. Over the last couple of weekends, been quite busy with family commitments, so we haven't had that much progress on the cars over the last couple of weeks. So I apologise for that. But over the next couple of weeks, we will have a lot more progress. So this week, I've started doing a bit on Dolomite. Started remaking into the sill. What I'm doing here is remaking the end of the sill. As I bought this panel as the outer sill, you can now buy for the Dolomites a full outer sill, which goes up into the door shut, and it's a complete outer sill. But it's a lot of work to fit one, as they go behind all the A post, the B post, the C post. So to get it to fit it, you have to take out the bottom of the A post, bottom of the B post, bottom of the C post to fit the full panel, which this car doesn't actually require that. So I bought this panel. It ends at the front wing, goes to full length of the car. But when I removed the front wing, the end of this sill behind the front wing was rotten. So I'm having to remake it. So I've made up this piece. I can't make that in one piece. It's too complex, too complicated. I haven't got the equipment here to do it. So I've made the top piece first, which puddle welds through to there. It's fully welded around there. Got to clean it off. Yep. And then I've made the outer piece of it, which then welds down there. Puddle welds to the rest of the car there. fully weld it across there, clean it all off, and then that just leaves me to make the end cap, which that comes across here with a flange on it, which then attaches to the inner arch, which comes across and out, spot welds down there. As this is already rotten, it's all been patched and plated in here before previously, so this needs cutting out as well, but I'd like to get this bit done first. So that is all tacked in now, so let's get it welded in. And there we go. There is the end of the sill, refabricated, cleaned off. Got a few little pinholes just to weld up where I've had to weld it to the original bodywork of the car, and it's got a little bit of corrosion in the metal, so it interferes with the weld a little bit. So I've got to fill up a few little pinholes. Don't know if you can see, I'll bring you in a minute, a bit closer. The step here is actually a lot deeper than standard. I've purposely done that as this car's having fiberglass front wings on it. Two reasons. One, they're lighter. This car is going to be used on the track, so lightness helps out. They're also a lot cheaper to replace if you ding one or break one. And the third reason is that you can't actually buy steel front wings for Triumph Dolomite, unfortunately. I would love to be able to put steel wings on the car to keep it as it should be, but it's not available. You can't get them anywhere. When you do see them come up for sale, they are extremely expensive. I've seen them anything from £500 to £800 per wing. So it's not going to get steel front wings on it. Not a chance, not at that price. So that's the end of the sill. Just got to put the end on it, finish up the front inner arch, and that is this part of the car finished. I will get that done tomorrow. And then it'll be on to the C-post, which I need to put the doors back on the car to do that, to get all the gaps correctly done. So a little bit more finishing up here. The end cap and the inner arch, that's most of the structure of this side completely finished. As I was saying, I'll just say later on the video, when you buy the outer sills, you can buy a complete outer sill for this, where it's a massive job to change it. So I'm having to remake the end of the sill. I've got a little bit more work here to do, where I've had to weld it to the original bodywork, which the metal isn't, it's old and it's got a little bit of corrosion, so it affects the weld a little bit. But I can finish blobbing up that with some weld, clean it off, it'll be absolutely fine. The step here is actually bigger than standard. As I said earlier, this is having fiberglass front wings on it, and the fiberglass front wings are thicker, and I don't want them to stick out. Continue watching the video and I'll explain why I'm putting fiberglass front wings on it. That is the Dolomite at the moment. I will get some more work done tomorrow. I'm hoping tomorrow to have the front end finished. Front of the sill finished, the inner arch finished, and start moving on to the C-post, get the doors on the car, because I need the doors on the car to align them and remake the C-post and all this bottom structure. Surely so it gets the gaps nice, because I want it to have really nice panel gaps. That's one thing I want out of it, is for the gaps to be a lot better than standard. I want it to be really, really nice. Second of all, maybe slight change of plan with the Dolomite, and I want all the viewers' opinions on it, as I've always been in two minds what to do with it, whether to fit the Mazda V6 or turn it into a historic race car. I would like to turn it into a historic race car, mainly costs that are holding me back on it to do that, as I'm a massive fan of historic racing. I've been involved with historic racing quite a lot through work. We go to Goodwood and race there. I mean, back in 2022, we had 3 cars actually at the event, and one of them actually end up on the podium. So we do well in historic motorsport, and I'd like this to do well as well. And it's something that I'd like to build and compete with, and also have my dad involved competing with it and driving it, as he's always wanted to race historic cars. He's a massive fan as well, and I'd like to build it so we can both enjoy it and both compete with it. So I'm going to leave it up to the viewers to decide the route of the Dolomite, whether it gets the V6 or gets turned into a Dolomite Sprint historic race car. I do have all the Sprint running gear for it. I have the engine, the gearbox, the subframe, rear axle. I have all the Sprint running gear for it if I need to. So that's one thing I've already got. So yeah, up to you guys. Let's go and have a look at the TR7. Now on the TR7, we are waiting for the shims to be made. We've obviously, if you see last week's video, we measured it all up and got our dimensions that we need for the shims. So we're in the process of having them made now, but there could be a 2 to 3 week wait on them, unfortunately. We thought it would be a bit quicker than that, but it's not. But we have been asked by a few people how the electric water pump system actually works. So the electric water pump is actually bolted down here on the chassis leg, and it's not just an electric water pump, it's a complete engine temperature control system. So we don't have a thermostat in it, and the original water pump, which is in here, is actually removed because they're not overly great anyway. I mean, it wasn't the best design in the world, having the top half in water and the bottom half in oil. It's asking for trouble. So we remove the factory water pump. We then we machine up a bung, which takes the original seals, and that is pressed into the block to blank it off. Now, on the TR7, they have quite a quirky little thermostat. So when the thermostat opens, it has a little foot on the bottom which blanks off the return to the pump, so that all the water goes through the radiator and back into the engine. It's quite a common mistake, people putting a standard thermostat in the TR7s and the Stags, so that if you have a normal thermostat in there, when it opens, you still get some water going back through the system, so the car eventually gets hotter and hotter and hotter, and eventually will overheat. So it is quite critical you have the correct thermostat in the TR7 Stags Dolomite Sprints. But on this, we don't actually have a thermostat. So to get around that, we have bungs machined up and pushed into the water pump housing. Same on the inlet manifold. That is blanked off. So all of the water can only go one place, round the radiator back into the engine. The electric water pump, it's got temperature control on it, so it knows how hot the engine is getting. This is the temperature control system on it. When the engine first starts up, the pump will initially pulse. It doesn't run, it just initially pulses to circulate a tiny bit of water. It helps in aid of speeding up the warm up of the engine, so you can get it off choke faster. The engine warms up a lot faster. So once it reaches operating temperature, it will then run continuously. Then if the temperature drops too much, it will go back down to pulsing to let the engine come back up. So in effect, the water pump also is your thermostat on this, hence why it's a complete engine control system. It also, the control unit which is inside the car, also controls the fans. You can fully program the whole system at what temperature you want the engine to run at, what temperature you want the fans to kick in at. It's a great system. We are still finishing developing this because we have gone slightly over the top with the big radiator, and it struggles to warm up in colder weather. So we're going to develop a cowling on that on the front to mount the fan, so the fan's not just bolt the radiator. We're going to bolt a big cowling on there, which will hopefully make it warm up slightly faster, and in cold weather stay warmer, because this system, it will not overheat. It is, unless you lose all your coolant, it keeps it so cool, it's ridiculous. So that's the electric water pump on it. Well, out with this bottom hose, as we're not happy with it, we just need to roll the routing of the hose. But hopefully when the shims come back in the next 2 to 3 weeks, we'll have this all buttoned up, put together. The manifold is all ported, ready to go. The carburetors, obviously, they're all finished. They were running perfectly. They were fully rebuilt carburetors. The only thing we are doing is putting some trumpets on the carburetors, because we are aiming to get as much out of this engine as we possibly can at this stage. We're just saying we're using this as a bit of a development car to test out products, which we are hopefully planning on marketing and selling. The water pump being one of them, the camshaft being the other. So we're going to have all these products tested and give power upgrades on the TR7, the camshaft being one of them. So we'll know how, once we get this all up and running, we'll know how much power the camshaft gives us and how much better it's going to be to drive it as well, because it shouldn't be too bad drivability wise. So we're using this as a development car. So it's a bit of fun. As again, we've got upgraded brakes on it, so we'll show you all our upgrades on the brakes when we get to that point. We're going to put trumpets on them and see how far we can actually stretch the legs on this thing, because the bottom end of the engine is actually built to race specifications. So we can do pretty much anything we like and throw anything we like at it, and the bottom end of the engine, it will take it. It's balanced to, I think it was 10,000 RPM, the spec sheet on the balancing said, which is way more than the conrods will actually take. But as it is now, it revs to 7 quite happily. So yeah, the bottom end will laugh at basically anything we can throw at it. And hopefully we'll see in the near future we'll have some products which we can sell on, and we're going to get a website set up for ourselves to sell all our products and upgrades for the classics, to make them not only more powerful, well that's what we like doing, more drivable on modern roads. So it's something you want to get in and drive, and you could, if you wanted to, you could use it as a daily car, but it's still a classic without taking away what it being a classic car. So it'll always be a classic car, but with some upgrades to help it in modern traffic. So that is the water pump and the TR7. I hope that clears up what we've been asked on the water pump and the TR7. Like I said, unfortunately there isn't too much update this week, as we had some family commitments over the last couple of weeks, so we haven't had too much progress. Normal service will be back, and we will be pressing on fast with the Dolomite as fast as we possibly can, and the TR7. Let us know what you think about the plan for the Dolomite, whether you want it to go Mazda V6 or turn it to Dolomite Sprint historic race car. I know what I want to do, and I'm hoping you lot will agree too. So let us know. Thank you for watching this week. Please like and subscribe, as it really helps us out, especially if you want to see that Dolomite done the way you guys want it. Join us next week.